Like when I shit myself in Menzies. Have I not mentioned that? I've mentioned that before. Have I already talked about this? My memory is so bad.
Should we leave that for a special episode?
Special episode. Places we shit ourselves. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spectrum Days, the podcast where we talk about old games and films, and we try and remember stuff. I'd like to point that out to somebody who left us our first review, which we're very happy about. We're glad to see that our fans out there have been joining in and communicating with us here on the channel. Yes, we're trying to remember things. This is not an informational podcast where we plan to get every single fact correct. We do hope that you join in by shouting at your chosen podcast viewing listening device as we laugh hysterically at things that you don't understand, because that's how it works. That's how it works here.
By using our memories, we normally just plan to get everything wrong. So that's it.
We used to take notes. But now we don't bother.
Phil, how's it going?
All right. How are you?
I'm good.
How's your memory feeling today? Does it? How far do you think? How far do you think we can stretch it back?
Sometimes it just blacks out. Yesterday,
You're gonna
I bought a new game the other day. Actually, Aliens: Dark Descent. I got it on Steam, so I didn't have the pleasure of unwrapping it on the way home from the shops and looking at the instructions, because it was all online. You press a button.
It's you ruining the industry then, is it?
I don't know who buys physical copies nowadays.
Idiots like me. I'm sat here slowly filling my shelves full of
what do you get?
Plastic tap.
By the way, I would say Aliens Dark Descent, this is so everyone can hate on me, I've only played it for an hour, reminds me of kind of Syndicate.
Syndicate?
Yes, back on the Amiga.
Yeah, I think I played that on a Mega Drive.
That must have been awful without a mouse.
I got a feeling it came out on the Mega. Did that come out on the SNES as well, or am I thinking of...
So you're already getting things wrong
already.
Not on not an obscure rare game, but a big blockbuster. As well.
One of us could Google it while we're talking, I suppose, where the Syndicate did actually come out on the Mega Drive. But it's much more fun guffawing at things than just generally getting things wrong. But yeah, I'm fairly sure Syndicate came out. It might come out on the SNES as well, but I'm sure.
Yep.
Mega Drive.
It did.
Oh, there we are. So yeah, I played.
Came out on the Mega Drive.
So that would have been physical. You see, that would have been in a nice box. I'd have got on the bus, riding home on the bus, looking at a colour. No, actually, no. I haven't said that. The Mega Drive ones, they're pamphlet things, instruction manuals, often black and white, weren't they? In the Mega Drive. From memory, which is probably wrong. I expect they were in 3D colour.
It was probably blue ink, white paper with blue.
Blue, maybe grey, weren't they? The Mega Drive ones. I'm literally within arm's reach of a Mega Drive game. I could just open one and look, but I would rather keep the mystique and allow someone to comment in angry full caps. My God, I can't believe you don't remember what colour the instruction manuals in Mega Drive games were. You suck. 2 stars. Guffaw.
Anyway, no so little.
I come across as nice.
So, what have you got? Because you were there unwrapping some new games.
Unwrapping games that have come in the post as we speak. And it's funny you say Alien, because I got Alien Isolation, the Ripley edition.
For PS3.
It's PS3, yes.
Do you have a PS3?
Yes, I do. And in fact, followers of our channel who've seen the video prior to this one, or podcasts prior to this one, do have a YouTube channel where you can watch all of the excitement. I did give a thank you out to Pete, I think was his name, who I got my PS3 from, and on eBay, and he was very excited to find out that it was going to appear in a podcast, and he subscribed to our YouTube channel. So hello, if you're listening, and
thanks, Pete.
Thank you. I have been getting on with it wonderfully, and now obsessively buying games. So three appeared in the post today. I don't know what the missus thinks is going on. I think,
but you've got a huge pile of games that you.
Yes.
All those. Go on then. What's next on the pile? What's on your stack? What's on the pile, Phil?
WRC World Rally Championship 4.
Okay,
again,
nice.
For the PS3. And Nier. N-I-E-R. Nier or Nier.
What's that? I don't even know that. It's probably a blockbuster.
Nothing is as it seems. The voracious black scroll plague has all but exterminated humanity, ending civilization and twisting the world beyond recognition. It goes on a bit like that. I think it's a sort of jump-aroundy, hack and slashy, sort of bayonetery God of War type.
So you prefer a physical release than a digital release?
I do, yeah. Well, I was just saying, for me, PS3, it's a really good time to buy it because you can buy all the games. I bought like all the Uncharted games. I bought, I think, the entirety of the Assassin's Creed games that came out on the PS3. Obviously, it's the series that's still going, but it's about 4 or 5 of them for a £5.
Really?
Which you couldn't do that online by doing a download. You might be able to buy one of the older Assassin's Creed games for a £5, but not 4 or 5 Assassin's Creed games for a £5. I bet you can't.
No, don't think so. And for the Switch, do you normally get physical copies, or do you use the eShop?
Yeah, I've bought, I think, probably a total of 2, maybe 3 games on the Switch downloaded because they aren't available physical. But I mean, again, people who haven't listened to the podcast, I used to sell this stuff for a living back in the 90s. I learned very early on that if you bought physical, you kept it in the condition that it was in, you kept it with the manual, it was then worth money. It
was then worth £5.
It held its value.
It was then worth £5.
But games you download aren't worth anything unless you happen to have an old Samsung with Flappy Bird still installed on it.
So
then you can sell it.
I mean that's a big discussion, isn't it? The whole thing of who owns the digital. Really, you only get the rights to use the game, right? Then the selling on a digital copy isn't possible. Hence, when some interest in blockchain technologies would be that then perhaps you actually own that unique version of the game, which then you could sell on, right? Whilst at the moment you buy it through Steam or whichever store, and you only really get the rights to use that game. It's not, you don't really, because you don't physically own something, you can't sell it on. But it's been interesting because we were talking, and here we go. We didn't do great research on this one either, but when did the download era kind of start, and how did this all happen? The transition from the physical shops to download only. I mean, the new versions of the consoles, the latest Xbox and PlayStation, I mean, they don't even have a CD tray, I believe. At least my Xbox doesn't. Right, so there is no choice.
Isn't there an X and an S?
Yeah,
there's one with and one without.
That's true. I think at the time there was only the one without kind of available when I first got it. So with that, we've don't have a CD tray, so we just buy games off the store and download them. But this, back in the day, it was kind of an experience. We've touched on it in quite a few episodes of that moment of going to the shop with your money handing over cash for, browsing through all the games, that kind of thing. Maybe you'd go into one of the bigger towns, maybe go into Smith's or Menzies at the time, the newsagents in the UK, look at the magazines, even flick through the magazines or read a few reviews if you didn't have the magazine at home, and then go on off to the game section and make your selection. Yeah. And then the whole thing, the box art, having it the different size boxes. I mean, Shadow of the Beast on the Amiga came in this kind of the version I had, a nice rectangular box because it had the T-shirt inside. Yeah. And I know they've done all that stuff continuous. There's always been packs, all these different packs that you could buy for games as well. You could get special limited editions, right? So you'd have the T-shirt or the special controller or whatever. So that did, of course, continued. But then going home and opening that box, and sometimes there'd be a piracy device inside, a device to stop piracy, right? You'd have the instruction manual. Sometimes, can you remember the kind of little, I'm trying to remember, there was like a helicopter game on I don't know if it was the Spectrum or the Amiga, probably the Amiga. And you had this kind of lens that you had to put over the screen to decipher something, right? So you could actually get in to play the game to try and avoid people copying. And we said it before, it's like the instructions were there. There weren't so many tutorials or onboarding in the games back in the Spectrum days, even the Amiga, right? So you'd read the instructions, you'd read those instructions before you even got home. So you kind of the anticipation would build up, and then the time it took to actually load the game, let's say on the Spectrum, and then now it's just kind of like, download the game. A few minutes later, it's ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, I've
taken out the whole journey.
I have found it. I think for me, the download thing is also harder to do. It's a bit like when you transfer all your music to digital. I mean, like here behind me, I've got a whole load of CDs still. The more you have, the less choice you've got. I seem to remember a friend of mine saying it becomes more difficult to choose something off the shelf. In a way, I've found that with digital. It's not that I don't entirely like the idea of it. Of course I do. I mean, I'm using it in other ways. I've got Disney Plus, I've got Amazon and Netflix and all those things. Well, those are all exactly what's being offered to me in a download shop on a console. It's no different.
Yeah.
But I have found it's like, I can't choose something. Even if I look, I'm like, I just don't. It's just like sort of too much there. But I think in a shop, back in the day when we go in a shop, there was obviously nowhere near the same choice that there is on an online store. And particularly now, say if you've got the PlayStation or the Xbox, you've got all the old stuff as well. You're not not just whatever's to top 10. I mean, you're talking about Smith's, Menzies, those places we used to go in. There'd be like a chart perhaps of games, a sort of top 10 maybe, and then there'd be the cheap Mostronic, Firebird, whatever, $1.99, $2.99. Yeah, there'd be you'd have a selection of those, but we weren't. It's thousands of games now are available to people at a click of a button. And not all of it is expensive. And I don't just mean the AAA titles that you might be downloading for 40 quid or whatever. I mean, there's all these other, the indie titles which might only be £1 or 50p, some stuff, particularly with mobile. I mean, the vast majority of games you look on mobile are anything for 50p, £1, £2, hardly anything cost-wise.
Well, or they'll be even free, right? I mean, the free to play. It's... there's kind of a paralysis in all that choice.
Yeah,
it's just too much, and it also has its kind of technical headaches and difficulties. With the kids, and are you buying it for this platform? What happens? Oh, I've got it in the wrong account now. Who's got it? Or it's like sharing different accounts. It's like. I've probably bought Minecraft. I think I said the other day I was talking to you, like maybe I've bought Minecraft 7 times or something.
Oh, in different formats.
It's kind of like, Yeah. We bought Minecraft or the Java edition, the Bedrock edition, I think, also for PC. So two different versions for the PC. Then we've had the Xbox 360 version. We've had the iPad version. We've got the Android version.
On Switch?
Yes, I think Switch as well. You're right. Yeah, Switch, PlayStation 4.
Right.
And then I don't know now with the latest Xbox if it's the same one that we'd already bought for the PC, if that went across. I don't know. So but 7 or 8 versions. 7 or 8. 7 or 8, which is the same game. I mean, it's not the same as FIFA, which every year's got new stuff. I might have bought FIFA a few times as well.
Really?
But yeah.
You've been buying that for 25 years.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, it was like more of an experience, but now it's, like, you know, I don't want to sound like the old, you know, typical old man going, oh, kids nowadays, whatever. But yeah, they've not really had too much of that experience. My son being 16, yes, he has been in shops and we've bought physical games. He's been through, you know, the secondhand kind of bins and stuff as well in game shops. And so he has had that a little bit. But I'd say kids a little bit younger than him wouldn't have hardly ever gone into a shop now to buy a game. I don't think anyway. They're very used to Steam and as well for PC, downloading, buying games through that. So yeah, they kind of just don't have that experience, and it was good. I mean, like I say, that physical, the different boxes, the different shapes, the artwork. It was. That's just become just a collector's thing. I think if you just want to play the game nowadays, you don't care about it being a digital download.
No,
right?
no, exactly. I'd say, which is why it's nice that I've got the PS3 now, because someone I am interested in buying physical media. It's what I've done my entire life. It's just that it's habit as much as anything. It's how it is how I consume games. It's how I buy them. But they are so cheap. I don't think I've spent more than £10 or £15 on one game. The vast majority of what I've bought, I've probably got, I don't know, 15, 20 games. I bought, I think, 6 or so came with the machine that I got off the chap on eBay. And then I've bought, I don't know, at least 10. I bought a handful of car. I mean, they're at car boot sales. You know, they're at that age where they're appearing in charity shops, car boot sales. You know, the games and the majority of them I pay, you know, a couple of quid each, something like that. Which, you know, for things like Red Dead Redemption and nice. Good. You know, The Last of Us and the Uncharted games, all games that are massive. I mean, The Last of Us, I've been waiting to play for years. Everyone keeps going on about it. It's one of the highest rated games. You know, it's a really high rated game, and I've got it for like £2. You know.
Well, I mean, the shops do still exist. Do you ever go into a shop now? A physical store, game store?
I'd go in one all the time if there was one available. I think this is the problem I was sort of going to say earlier on when you were saying about your boy going in them. It's like if they're there, then people are going to go in. You know, there is an interest in retro. It's a massive interest in retro. I mean, a lot of the other YouTube channels that I watch, and I'm sure people who listen to this probably watch the same. People like, you know, Metal Jesus or whoever, John Riggs or all the other sort of big names in America. There seems to be an awful lot of those sorts of shops over there because they seem to be visiting them all the time, all different ones in different places.
Oh, you mean, but particularly retro shops?
Yeah.
Or do you mean just games exchange?
They're going to sell the latest titles as well, but, you know, physical games shops. You know, it's not like they don't exist. But if you're not near one, I mean, where I live here, there isn't one. There just isn't one. I'd have to go probably an hour away to go to a shop. They don't even now. I mean, this is one of the things that killed it for us back in the day when, I say this is what I used to do for a living, was that the supermarket started doing it.
Right.
They've now just stopped. So the local supermarkets here, Tesco's and what have you, now don't do games. They've stopped doing it.
Okay.
So you can't for those people who want to go and buy the latest FIFA, or they'd only ever carry the top latest 10 games. Well, you can't go and buy that now.
So, when you were working in the shop, was it a pain when the games, the peripheral type games, so like Guitar Hero, like all of a sudden, would you take in Guitar Hero? And I mean, they would, because they would take up a lot of storage space.
Yeah, I mean that wasn't a thing back then. That came slightly later. Don't forget, I left the industry as the PlayStation was coming in, so 96. The biggest things we had back then were things like the Menacer, which is the light gun, and the SNES scopes at Super Scope for the Super Nintendo, which were equally as big. They weren't far off the size of a guitar from Guitar Hero. They were a pain. Anything that was large and boxed was a complete pain. But yeah, I mean that is also something that's gone by the way. Anything peripherals, they aren't really a thing. The most people buy now perhaps would be a decent gamepad if the one that comes with the machine doesn't suit them. I mean, a lot of stuff has survived. I mean, the N64, the N64, no, the GameCube controller is still really popular for playing things like Smash. You can connect it to the Wii. You can connect it to, I think with a dongle, you can connect it to the Wii U. I think you can connect it to the Switch. They've sort of, even Nintendo themselves have made it so that you can continue to use those original controllers.
Did you have the GameCube bongos?
I have got them. Yeah, Donkey Konga. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I have actually got that. Yeah.
I had that pack. I wonder what I did with my GameCube as well.
Oh man, not another thing you
I just lose.
Did you actually have
I just moved
the GameCube that came with the? You actually had?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that pack's worth a fortune.
I threw the box away as soon as I got it.
Yeah, I actually had 2 sets of those things. Those one's gone missing. I don't know. I had it mainly for Jungle Beat. And Jungle Beat was great. And Donkey Konga, yeah. Both really good games, actually.
Yeah, but they were good. But we were saying, so this whole downloading thing, it's funny because on the Spectrum, we both remember some kind of radio show on a Sunday evening in the UK, and they would play a game and you could record it on the tape deck and play the game. So that was like the rudimentary game download system that we can remember when we were like 12. I think the only one I remember ever getting to work was like a Simon, Simon
Says
games, Simon Says kind of type thing. I think, and I suppose in a way, almost a very, very strange way to go about it. But the magazines were also giving you games as code.
Yeah.
So you would, in a strange way, that was a way of getting a download. Was you would buy the magazine, type the game in, find it had loads of bugs, debug it, and get it working. So that was a very almost like smoke signals way of download.
I like that. I remember typing in one of those and realizing that it was for some reason very, very heavy on zeros.
Yeah, of course, that's the data for the.
And then we found out it was supposed to be O's and not zeros. I was like, God, that's like
one of the
nightmare.
One of the magazines gave a ruler out, which had a magnifying glass across, so you could put the ruler on the page and just push it down as you went through the
that's
code.
Genius.
So
I like that.
it was that was great because you could also often lose
totally
where you were.
Yeah. Especially if it was a several pager. Yeah.
Did you ever have the situation where your dad would be reading the code out and you were typing it in?
Me, my dad, and sister. Yeah, the three of us would be there because my sister was doing it to get better at typing. That was her thing.
On the rubber keyboard?
No, that was on the... No. We started with the VIC-20. That's before we even had the Spectrum. The VIC-20 was a proper sort of BBC-esque keyboard. It was a proper decent keyboard.
Well, the BBC had, of course, at school, I think, did we have the access to bulletin boards through the BBC?
Well, I remember, I think you couldn't, you could, I want to say it's something called like a rabbit or something it was called. I'm sure we've mentioned this before, and it made us guffaw hilariously at the thought of using a rabbit. I'm sure, wasn't that the Amiga's add-on that you could plug in? Was it called the rabbit? I expect you're going to furiously type in rabbit now. don't Google rabbit. But it's not a new thing, this whole sort of downloading. Yeah, we were talking about it before we came on mic, that the Mega Drive, although I'm not sure whether we got it over here, but anyway, the Sega channel was their thing that allowed you to go online on the Mega Drive, which came out in 1994. Both of us were shocked at that. I didn't remember it being that early, but so by 1994 you were downloading games onto your Mega Drive.
I mean, you could access bulletin boards on the early days before the internet, but there wasn't downloading games. But yeah, I was really shocked about that. Yeah, those kind of systems. But yeah, I mean, I guess before the consoles were doing the digital downloads, of course, the IBM, the PC world was already doing a lot of that. But it's, it was surprising. Again, and also, I guess, with mobile as well, and even from the early 2000s, 2002-ish, I guess, was the Java, the J2ME, MoFun, some other platforms before the iPhone even came out. And of course, the mobile phones, they've always been download, right? You didn't buy games. Well, that's not true. There was the Nokia N-Gage, which you could actually, I think, buy the cards because you wouldn't download those big games. There was Tomb Raider and things already for the N-Gage.
Yeah.
So you would buy those as little cards. But apart from the N-Gage, everything else was downloads of very, very small footprint games. And so when before 3G, there was UMTS. When that was available, you could download games over the network. And that's way before like the iPhone. We were looking as well. The first iPhone was in June 2007. So, and of course, iPhones. I guess maybe also maybe that kind of trained people as well. You got used to doing it. If you've got a phone and everything that you've done is just downloaded over Wi-Fi or over 3G, you kind of training wheels perhaps then to go say, well, there's no problem in buying a $60, €70, whatever, £60 game and downloading it. It must have been strange the very first time. Maybe the first game I paid for online was that great game I've mentioned before, Laser Squad Nemesis by Kodo Game. I think was it Kodo? Oh, I can't remember now. But yeah, Laser Squad Nemesis, which was almost like a play-by-email game.
Right.
That was a game on the PC. That was which I would have paid for online. But yeah.
I think I can't blame it on one thing, but I think mobile definitely, yes, as you say, it got people used to saying, yeah, okay, I will just download this thing because you have to. If you wanted an app, I mean, Apple's whole advertising thing was there's an app for that, wasn't it? I mean, that was their big thing. They kept saying it, and it also changed the language. We weren't using the word app. And in fact, the people who were buying software or games were never using the word application. I mean, that was a sort of an industry type word.
Do you know some people still say APP?
I don't.
Exactly.
Really?
Some people do.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
Wow. I mean, but yeah, but it did. I mean, we were worried about it when, back in the day in the second-hand games industry, it was a massive concern, and we could see it coming, and it got discussed amongst those involved with the business that the youth, the young people, they was going to be downloading in it, and that's all that they were going to be doing, and that we were saying that with regards to mobile. And of course, it then happened, because the biggest thing, the thing that most young people had, was the DS. It was a really hugely successful machine. Every kid had one, and that you were able to, download stuff. And then the DSi and all the iterations of the DS through to the 3DS were big for downloading. A lot of, they were in every kid's hands, and then by then they were used to the fact that, oh yeah, mum and dad have got phones. Oh yeah, they download stuff. But now kids have got phones. It used to be for quite a while that kids weren't allowed a phone, a smartphone. People don't even say smartphone anymore.
No,
that's sort of gone. It's just a phone's a phone, isn't it? I mean, it's just totally,
they're all smart.
Yeah, exactly. That's totally what people are used to now. So I think that boat has certainly gone. There's no way of recalling it, redressing it, but there obviously is a larger interest in retro stuff because we have aged. And don't forget that our hobby is very, very new. It's a very young hobby. It's not like books. It's not like movies. It's only been around since we were born. There wasn't computer games before we were born. You didn't go to a shop and buy games. That just didn't exist. You had to buy, you'd buy a tennis set, or you'd buy a Skittles set, or cricket, or Ludo, or Snakes and Ladders, board games and things like that. But once, by the time we were born, by the time we were kids with disposable incomes, there was suddenly this hobby of computer games which just hadn't existed before. So it's still very new, and that's where it's gone. It's gone to it's a new generation has grabbed hold of it, and it's like, well, we're not going to wait. If a game gets released, I don't have to go and queue up in a shop to go and get it.
Oh yeah, and that's a point. And then you don't. And there's other benefits. I mean, there's just not enough space to have all the boxes. No. I know you like the boxes,
but my collection's not vast. It's not crazy. I'm making it sound like I've got thousands of games or something. It's I probably only.
Oh yeah, how big's the pile of stuff that you haven't even played?
Oh, that's ginormous.
Last time I saw it, it was about a meter high.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I don't play any of these things.
But that becomes almost even worse on digital, because you'll get pushed like a special deal this week only.
£5 this week only.
Fear of missing out. Right? Oh, I can't get it. And I'll end up having like a digital stack of games I haven't played, or like even the ones. But then Steam's got the, it even kind of rubs it in your face in a way. It tells you how many minutes you've played. So I bought that. I played that for 30 minutes. I bought that. I played that one for 45 minutes.
Barely got off the tutorial that you're so fond of.
Well, exactly. We all bought Left 4 Dead 2 to play together. Yeah. We haven't even played it yet.
I don't even know if it works on my PC. I don't think I've even installed it. That's terrible. But that's another nightmare, you see, for people like us. I think we've mentioned this before. Buying stuff and it not working.
Well, yeah.
Whereas those PS3 games I've got, the discs are all fine. Therefore, they're all going to work. It's not going to go, oh, you've got the wrong PS3.
Well, I mean, that's a different that's a different discussion. The whole PC gaming world of
But just that difference of of buying something, a physical thing for a specific device. Well, it's going to work. You buy a 3DS game for your 3DS, it's going to work. Unless because you haven't got
Yeah.
the new 3DS, you buy a game that's for the new 3DS. Well, there's about 3 titles. You're very unlikely to get that wrong. But but actual shops, game shops are going to die out in particular areas, but are on the rise as far as retro goes, because like I was just saying, we've got to that age. The people who started it have got to the age where we are now buying it again.
Well, it will be a new strange period when there's kind of these antique shops. Right, I mean, every town in England seems to have like an antique
At least
shop.
3.
And then they'll become the antique game shop, right? I mean, they're retro now, but I can't remember now how many years it is for something to become an antique. But things will be some of these game systems will be knocking on to become antiques, and they'll have a different kind of. It'll be interesting to see, like in another 50 years' time, right? It'll be, well, this ZX Spectrum, this is an antique, still working Spectrum or whatever, and it'll have a different kind of position in society.
The fact that you've already got stuff being, graded professionally now, you've got 2 companies competing to grade, physical games, and the auctions and some of the stupid prices that stuff's going for. You're already into the realms of sort of antique. That's how antiques are considered, aren't they? They are things that turn up in an auction. That's usually what you associate with auction prices are things that are antique. I'm not saying games are antique. I'm just saying that you've already got an area there that's treating them as if they are already an antique commodity to be bought and sold as sort of almost heirloom status type items. Well, I can see things like the Atari, the 2600 with its wooden frontage. I can see that being in antique shops, all polished up and,
It says it generally needs to be 100 years old to become an antique, so we're a little way off still.
But not far. I mean, if the Atari, Atari was a 70s machine.
I'd love one of those coffee table machines.
Right it used to be in the pubs.
So the last game you physically bought were those ones that just arrived in the post?
Yeah, and they're from 2013 or something.
The last game I paid for was physically was the latest Zelda for the Switch.
Oh yeah, Tears of the Kingdom.
But I've never played it. That was for my son. That's for my son. But I can't think of the previous physical game.
I can't remember the last new title I bought. I've obviously been buying quite a lot of Spectrum games for the podcast. The last new game that I bought, I don't know. I can't remember. I will be buying the new Mario Wonder.
Yes.
Switch. I should probably be buying
and you'll get that real. You're going to go into a shop and physically, or you're going to order it.
I would go and buy it in a shop if there was. But I can't, not without travelling an awful long way anyway. It is very strange, and the irony is not lost on me that I used to sell this stuff for a living, and now I actually can't go into a shop and buy it. Which is a hilarious thought. But there we are. There we are.
Yeah. There you are. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our nostalgic thoughts on shops and digital. Yeah. I'm sure we'll mention shops again. We have the odd memory comes fluttering back up to our brains of going into certain different shops and browsing through
like
the
when
games.
I shit myself in Menzies. Have I not mentioned that? I've mentioned that before. Have I already talked about this? My memory's so bad.
Should we leave that for a special episode?
Places we shit ourselves. Wow, these places are so good. Oh no! Quick, it's the toilet.
No, you have not revealed that
Really?
story.
Oh my God, it's a good story. That's kind of it, really. I mean, there's not a lot to it. It's in Menzies in the 80s. Shit myself.
In the 80s, that means you're over 10.
What difference does that make?
The 80s.
I should have
Because
good
one
bowel
thing is-
control by the mid 80s. Everyone should have had good.
Of course, you
good
should.
bowel
Of course, of course. Well, one thing is you accidentally did it when you were like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But
If I didn't stand
once
there
you get
crying for my mummy. Well, thanks for listening in and watching. If you have been watching on our YouTube channel, I hope the animation for me shitting myself in Menzies was suitably hilarious. And do like, subscribe, and do leave us lots of comments and reviews, because we do come across as quite nice boys.
Yeah, please.
Bye, Chris.
Bye, Phil. Bye, everyone.
Bye.